I hope you learned a few things from that special report on volunteering and are ready to take the bull by the horns and go out and be of service to society. Use it to open doors. And we have a special lady who used just that. She's an example of the spirit of service. Her name is Raquel. Through volunteering, she was even able to open up an NGO to help other young people like herself. So check out her interview and you will be inspired like I was. Check this out.
My name is Raquel Daniel. I'm from Kaduna State. I run a nonprofit called Beyond the Classroom Foundation. It is focused on children and girls in marginalized communities in Nigeria. I also run a startup tech company that is called NzuriIK.com, a web platform that promotes volunteerism in Nigeria and showcases volunteer opportunities for young people. What we do beyond the classroom is education and reproductive health for girls. So for education, we enroll children who are very smart, who can get into school. We enroll them into school. We're in poor communities. So for instance, a child is from a very poor background and is exceptionally bright in school, is in a public primary school and can do better in a private school. When we find such a child, we switch schools for the child so that the child will do better in a private school. And for those in the public primary schools who really want to go to school but can't afford to go to school, public primary school in Nigeria is free, so we only pay for school uniforms and basic supplies. So what we do is enroll them in school, just any child that we find that is out of school. For instance, we work with two IDPs in Abuja here, one at Games Village and the other at Karamajiji. So the one on off Airport Road called Karamajiji, we enrolled 107 children that are at the IDP camp in school last September. Then the one at Karamaji, at Gudu, what we do with the girls there is provide reproductive health materials and free sanitary towels for them to ensure that they stay in school. The first reason why I do what I do is, in my family, I'm the first to go past secondary school. And so when I was 9, my dad said to me, "Oh, Raquel, no one has ever gone past secondary school. And I really love that you do that." So it became a family dream, sort of. And so my dad talked about it every day. And then as a young person, I was looking forward to, really doing it. So one time I got discouraged. My father said to me, "Don't worry, you can do it. If you can, if you do, other people will." And so I got encouraged. So in secondary school, I was trying to do my best to ensure that after secondary school, I get into university. Along the line, about 16, my father died. So the dream moved from my dad's dream to my dream. And so when I got into University of Lagos, way later than I thought, I graduated at 16, but I didn't get into school until about 8 years later or 7 years later. But I did try because I really wanted to fulfill that dream. But what I saw was because I got an education, my life drastically changed. And so I couldn't live with myself to believe that or to know that I have an education and my life changed and other kids could have that opportunity and don't have it. And so Beyond the Classroom was formed through putting all my experiences together. The need to want to help children to get an education, because as the first in my family to get an education, I've seen what it has done to me. And then now, then the need to want to support girls and help them stay in school and help them also be confident. We're providing free sanitary towels to them to just help them stay away from vices, and maybe that can help, not get them pregnant and maybe get to school and get an education. So I started NzuriIK exactly a month ago. NzuriIK, so if you're a housewife, IK is work. But then Nzuri is Swahili for good. So you put good work together. And I started NzuriIK because, and everything I do in my life happens because of my experiences. I don't do things outside of my core values and my core self. So because when I was in secondary school, I started to volunteer, which is what I tell to a lot of young people, volunteer as much as you can. When I finished secondary school, I started volunteering. And that's where I got my first job. And then I didn't know it was called volunteering. My mom used to call it service, go and serve. So I serve in church, serve everywhere, serve. So I was serving people. So I volunteered with this woman, and then her neighbor had a vacancy and just said, come work with me. So I just moved from volunteering to work. And then, so I started to look for volunteering opportunities. When I got to my church in Lagos, I volunteered for our Changing Our World Foundation. And I met a man who was my HOD. He loved the way I worked. And he said, I love the way you volunteer. You're always, nobody pays you. You're just doing this work. And I tell him, my mom said I should always serve. And so I was serving. And he just liked my mom, but he never met my mom. One day I told him my mom was sick and I was going to go back to Kaduna, but my mom was going to die. I told him that. I said, my mom told me she was going to die over the phone. And she said I should come now. And then I'm glad that I got there before she passed, because we got to have a conversation. Then I called him and I said to him, my mom has passed on. And then he heard a boy in the background. He said to me, who is that? I said, oh, my younger brother is 5. And he said, bring him with you when you're coming back. If I didn't volunteer in church, I would have been stuck with 3 boys, a teenager not knowing what to do. So volunteering changed my life in different ways, from giving me my first job and getting my brother adopted at 5. He's 21 now, an amazing boy. He's in university. University I could afford to pay, by the way. And then I have 2 other younger brothers after me, whom God has blessed because I was volunteering. So with all those experiences, I said to myself, it would be unfair not to provide a platform where young people can find these opportunities. Because people say to me, Raquel, you volunteer, where do you find opportunities? And usually I say, I don't know. I just find them. But then what if we create a platform that allows people to find these opportunities easily? And that's where Nzuri came from. So I was looking for a very cool name, so I went over and beyond to say, you know what, Swahili and Hausa language, you make a good name. So that's how we have Nzuri Ike, which is good work. I hardly had one thing to say to young people, because like I said, my life is full of experiences. So I'll just rain down a couple of things for you in a quick bit. One, it doesn't matter where you're from. The dreams that you have are achievable. The dreams that you have in your heart are achievable. And the second thing is, it doesn't matter where you are in your journey. I end up on the streets, but I didn't give up, so don't give up. If you end up somewhere between your journey and where you are and where you want to be, just keep at it, just keep going. And then don't wait for opportunities, go find them. I've always gone to find my opportunities myself and serve. There is dignity in service. I've never interviewed for a job because I've always served. And where I've served, people will refer me and say, if you need to hire someone to do an exceptional job, hire Raquel. So you need to serve. And the last thing I would say to young people is, you just have to love yourself. And I'll say that because a lot of young people don't love themselves, because they're chasing after money, chasing after things that will eventually come. And the reason why I say love yourself was because when I was living on the streets, I could have joined gangs, I could have done abortion, I could have done boys, I escaped rape about 4 or 5 times. But I didn't join prostitution. I was a cleaner in the brothel in Nobalinde. But I loved myself too much to join prostitution. I said, I love you too much, Raquel. You can't do this. I had the opportunity to sell my kidney in Malaysia. They say, come, do it. I said, I love myself too much. So love yourself. If you love yourself, there's a way you would love you. You won't want to hurt you. So that's the crowning question for me. So fall in love with yourself, absolutely and completely. And your dreams are achievable.